Hello and welcome to Run Testers. My name's Nick. In this video, I'm going to be comparing the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4 and the Adidas Boston 12. Boston 12 and the Endorphin Speed 4 are two of the best super trainers on the market. That is, training shoes that have some of the super shoe foams or tech from their brand's respective carbon shoe racers. The Boston 12 came out last year and the Endorphin Speed 4 came out this year. Endorphin Speed 4 is more expensive. It's £180 or $170. Boston 12 is £140 or $160. The Endorphin Speed 4 is the lighter shoe. It's 255 grams or 9 ounces in a UK 9, whereas the Boston 12 is 259 grams or 9.1 ounces in the same size, although that is a half size smaller in the US. The Boston 12 has a 7mm drop with a stack height of 38mm at the heel, 31 at the forefoot. The Endorphin Speed is an 8mm drop with a 36mm stack height at the heel, 28 at the forefoot. Comes to design, you've got a lightweight mesh upper on the Adidas Boston 12, a very racy upper with minimal padding and not a lot of structure around the heel. And then the midsole is a dual density setup with a layer of Adidas's Light Strike Pro foam over a layer of Light Strike 2.0, which is an EVA foam. You've got Adidas's energy rods running through the midsole there to add some propulsion in the same way a plate does in the Endorphin Speed 4. Then you've got a Continental rubber outsole with very good coverage, especially on the forefoot. It's a pretty thick layer of foam actually, considering that this is still a very lightweight shoe. With the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4, you've got a lightweight mesh upper with a gusseted tongue, a bit more padding than the Adidas and certainly a bit more structure around the heel. You've got a full internal heel counter on this shoe. Then you've got Saucony's Power Run PB foam in the midsole. This is a PB-based foam, the one they've been using since the Endorphin series was first launched. You have a winged nylon plate running through the midsole of the shoe, and the shoe has Saucony's Speed Roll rocker to create that rockered geometry on the shoe there. You've now got a lattice rubber outsole on the shoe, which is different to past models. Pretty good coverage of the forefoot, not so much at the back, fair bit more exposed foam there, and you've got it cut out in a similar area to the Boston to try and reduce weight in the center of the shoe there. So when it comes to the fit, it's worth noting that I've got a UK 9 in both of these shoes, but the Adidas is a US 9.5. It's half a size smaller than the Saucony, which is a US 10. That is the normal size I get with Adidas and Saucony across all shoes, but in general, Adidas has a slightly tighter fit if you're going by UK sizing. Boston always used to have a very tight fit in general. It was a very narrow shoe. I'd say that's not so much the case with the Boston 12. It's got a slightly wider fit than past Bostons, but it's not a fit without its problems. I've talked about this a lot in videos, but it's a very fussy upper. It's got a few things you have to deal with almost every day if you are going to wear it for daily training. I had a bit of heel rub with the shoe. I've actually ended up heel locking it as a result. You get a bit of lace bite from the very thin tongue. It's hard to position the tongue correctly. It's just not that comfortable an upper all round, whereas the Endorphin Speed 4 has a much more easy fit. I did have to heel lock the Endorphin Speed 3 to avoid getting heel rub because it's quite a wide shoe and I have quite a narrow foot, but hasn't been the case with the Endorphin Speed 4. I don't know if they just narrowed it slightly, the fit in some way, but I do think it's got a pretty normal fit all round, and sticking with the normal size, you won't have any problems. Boston, I'd stick with your normal size, but yeah, it's a slightly fussy upper, like I say. So it comes to the run test, I'll say at the start that I think these are the two best super trainers on the market. I think these are both very versatile shoes. They're both shoes I really like, and you can do pretty much any kind of run in these very happily. So I'd always use a carbon super shoe to race in myself, but these shoes can do it, and then they are very versatile training shoes. So what I'm saying here is that neither of these is a bad shoe, and when I'm going to highlight differences in the upcoming section, it's not to say that one shoe does it and the other shoe can't do it at all. It's really very much to highlight the differences between them that are more marginal. They are both great all-rounder shoes. But when it comes to the differences, the ride of the two shoes, the Speed is more rockered, and you get more of a snappy ride through from the Boston. Even though it has the lower drop, the speed roll geometry on the Endorphin Speed 4 does make it that slightly smoother feeling shoe at times, whereas the Boston has a snappy feel, really gets you on your forefoot quickly, but it has more of a snap to it than the rolling rocket ride of the Speed. The Speed is the better shoe, I'd say, for easy cruising. You've got a wider base at the heel in particular, and especially with the Endorphin Speed 4, which is a bit wider than previous models. It feels a bit softer at the back there as well. As a heel striker in particular, that makes it feel a bit more relaxed and cruisy and easy when you are going at easy paces. Boston is a shoe I enjoy using at easy paces, but it's not necessarily a shoe I'd say that everyone would love using at easy paces. It's got a slightly more speedy ride and a narrower design at the back, and in general feels a bit faster, and some people might feel it's a bit too fast for easy runs, whereas the Speed 4 feels like a great shoe for easy runs, I found. I will say though, when it comes to comfort, the Boston I think is a little bit more comfortable under the forefoot for long hard runs because you've got a slightly higher stack there and the deeper wedge of Light Strike Pro foam there, which I think is a bit softer than the Power Run PB foam on the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4. It's not a harsh ride at all with the Endorphin Endorphin Speed 4, but I do notice if I do hard runs of over an hour, I get a little bit of forefoot discomfort. Nothing that will put me off carrying on running in the shoe, but I don't really get it with the Boston. I think you've got a bit more comfort there if you are a heel striker rolling through onto your forefoot and running hard. Boston in general has a nimbler, faster feel. Like I think if you go and do all-out interval reps, it just feels a bit faster in the Boston. It's got that snappier ride. It almost feels a bit lighter, even though it's the heavier shoe of the two. It feels very racy on the foot. Part of that is the upper, but also the way the foam and the geometry is set up with those rods there. It feels very snappy for those short efforts. But I do think when it comes to holding a pace over longer periods, I think that's probably where the Saucony shines a little bit more. It feels like it's a little bit more efficient to run in the Endorphin Speed 4, and it can just roll you along very smoothly. And if you're going to hold something like a tempo effort over the course of an hour, or look at kind of marathon pace reps of 4K, 5K, I prefer to do those kind of things in the Endorphin Speed 4, whereas the Boston has a nimbler, faster feel if you're going to go and do short reps. Boston has better grip, I'll say that. You've got the Continental rubber outsole on here. It's a fantastic material. Adidas has been using it for a long time, and you are getting better grip from the Boston. Endorphin Speed 4 has slightly better grip than past models with this lattice outsole, but can still slip a little bit, especially on something like a greasy track surface if it's been raining. Saucony has a much better upper. Cover this a bit in the fit section, but it's just more comfortable. It's easy to get the shoe on. If you're using it as a daily trainer, it's just a much less fussy upper than the one on the Boston, which takes a little bit of figuring out every time you pull the shoe on. It's hard to put it on, partly because I've had to heel lock it to avoid heel rub, and in general it's a slightly more annoying upper. Once you have put the shoe on and sorted it out, it is fine. The Boston upper is okay for me. It didn't really cause any lasting discomfort on the run, but the upper is much easier on the Endorphin Speed 4 and feels more suited to daily training. So I did a short run wearing both shoes at the same time just to kind of, again, feel all these differences on them. And yeah, it is quite apparent that the Boston feels that little bit nippier. Maybe it's not really firmer so much as more direct and faster. Like I say, it doesn't feel less comfortable. Indeed, I think it's a bit more comfortable under the forefoot for those long runs. Bit more comfort at the heel of the Endorphin Speed though. Like I say, it's a bit wider, a bit softer there. That's probably how I'd highlight the main differences between them. I think the speed's a little bit better for those easy runs. I think it's better for holding paces over long periods because I do like a rocker in a shoe like this, and the Boston's got a slightly faster feel. I think it's the better shoe for short, sharp workouts. But as I mentioned up top, these are all marginal differences. I think both of these shoes are pretty much great for everything. Verdict is these are both great shoes. You can pop either into your rotation as an all-rounder shoe to do everything, or as a daily trainer for fast sessions and the odd easy run as well, and they do a really good job of it. Boston is cheaper and often reduced, so there is a big plus point in its favour, because I do think when it comes to performance, it is very similar between these two shoes. So if you're not coming in with any preconceptions about the kind of ride you prefer, and you find the Boston a lot cheaper, I wouldn't hesitate just to go and grab it. It's a great shoe. Concerns about the upper notwithstanding, it's really good about everything else. I personally prefer a more rocketed ride, and as a heel striker, I like the extra width and kind of softness you get at the back of the Endorphin Speed 4. I think I'd probably slightly prefer it out of these two shoes as a result. It just suits my ride preferences a little bit more. But like I said, if you haven't got those ride preferences in mind already, then I'll be looking pretty much at what the cheaper one is, and it's usually the Boston 12. Boston 12 also has that slightly faster feel, so if you are looking for a pure speed day shoe to add to a rotation between these two, then the Boston 12 would be the better pick, I'd say, even though they are comparably fast. I think you've got a slightly faster feel from the Boston, and it is better for interval workouts, I'd say. And then if you're actually someone who's doing maybe marathon training, doing a lot of long, hard sessions, so when I'm marathon training, I'll do lots of progression runs, lots of hours held at a decent pace, that kind of thing. I think I'd say the Endorphin Speed 4 is the slightly better shoe for that. And I do think if you're looking for an all-round daily trainer, one shoe to do it all, the Speed 4 probably slightly edges it again, because I do think it's a more comfortable shoe for relaxed runs than the Boston 12. Like I say, it's all very close though, and even as someone who prefers the ride of the Speed 4, I wouldn't pay a lot more from it. If I saw the Boston for kind of 50 quid less, I'd be very happy to go and pick up that shoe instead and just deal with that upper over time. That's a comparison of the Boston 12 and the Endorphin Speed 4. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time.